Freight Efficiency with NACFE's Mike Roth and Friends.
Here in episode 79, we're joined by Brady Matoian. He's the CEO of OK Produce, where we talk about being on the cutting edge of reducing emissions, his lifelong concern for the environment, and passion around sustainability. He provides us insight into OK Produce's move to electric trucks, the connection between the products they deliver and the best way to move them. He also says that while it hasn't been easy or cheap to operate sustainably, it has been worth it. Today we have joining us Brady Matoian. He's the CEO of OK Produce. Really excited to talk to you today, Brady. It's been fun getting to know you. Tell me, do you remember how we met and who introduced us and how we became friends?
So that's a good question. Now I have to jog my memory a little bit, but not too much. But the fun part about it is I think this business of, I don't know if it's a business, but this mission of trying to make trucks more efficient, trying to be more sustainable is so interconnected. And what's been really fun is it's kind of, you've said it a few different times. There's a group of people who are kind of on board and those that are not, and some are doubters and some just are against it. But it's really fun to be in an environment in life now, both personally and professionally, where you start meeting people who are forward thinking about the environment, forward thinking about progress. And some of those are very unique, right? They're very unique little technologies that people are trying just to try to crack the nut of making these trucks more efficient and have a lesser impact. And one of those was the team at Truck Wings, Daniel Burrs at Truck Wings, and who I met through a high school friend who is on their board and thought we would get along. Of course we did, because just they and their team are so like-minded. And I was all excited about just getting to know them. And kind of a year went by because we were trying to install some of their Truck Wings on our trucks. And then they said, hey, I know this other, I know Mike and what they're doing. You should get to know them. And in the process, we obviously get to know each other. And secondly, we did move forward on installing some of these Truck Wings that we're right now in testing on. So it's just kind of cool how everything is teaming together for the same mission. And that's how we connected.
Yeah. Dan was on my podcast, I don't know, maybe a year ago. And I reminded him that, when he and I first met and he was telling me he's working on the gap between the tractor and a trailer, I said, I remember saying to him, Dan, you sound like a good guy who's a smart guy. And I said, that's been tried before. I'm not sure that's the best place to work in. And he proved me wrong with these Truck Wings. I mean, they're not for everyone, but where there's a need, there's a need for a pretty big where there's a need for a big gap between the tractor and trailer at low speeds around yards and so forth. And then you get some highway miles where you really want that gap really short. His product and that product Truck Wings can get that done by closing that gap and saving a lot of fuel and where it automatically deploys and stows. So, I do remember he and I were talking literally about, what fleets are out there. And in this case, not only working on total efficiency, a tractor trailer and diesel or whatever, but also on electric trucks. And he said, that you were starting. So yeah, that is exactly how we met. And, I do think we're at this place where, dealing with sustainability and moving goods is not any more like I like to do or something we try to do, but it's going to become a must with regulations and demands around sustainability.
Absolutely.
And it feel like that to you?
Yeah, I mean, it always has felt, well, it's funny. It's always been a want for me, right? And my story and what we do and where we're at. It's always been a want for me. And it's just been so frustrating because to want to do something so badly and absolutely have no ability to do it and literally trying like obscure technologies and Daniel's is a little bit of a niche stretch concept, but there's a lot of them through the years. We tried when we first kind of had this realization about these trucks and the impact and fuel and emissions and air pollution and all this. But it's just amazing to be like so wanting to do it. So we're in this cutting edge of trying to want to do it so badly because we just don't want that truck to impact the environment like it does, and trying really funny things like super single tires and side skirts and aerodynamics and just everything they would come up with. I'd try anything. If Truck Wings were around 20 years ago, I would have tried them 20 years ago. And just most of them, the impact is just so minimal compared to what's happening today. So yeah, there's been this huge want thing, and then now it's like, whoa, suddenly there's an amazing amount of timing as we are literally getting our first trucks while the mandates are going live and half the world's going crazy because they're so frustrated about another mandate. And I hear that so often. There's another mandate and they're trying to control us. And I'm kind of going, yay, in a weird way. And I hate to say that to those that might disagree, but in my mind, I'm like, okay, if that's what it took to get to this point and to get technology going and to get people willing, great. Where we 3 years ago, made our first purchase order on electric trucks. So it's interesting to see who's on the spectrum of the mandates, but it's definitely something now people they can't avoid, they're not going to avoid. And whatever happens nationally could be one thing, but California has been trying to lead for many, many years. And I just don't
Yeah.
foresee
You know,
foresee backing off.
Yeah, I like to, use analogies, and the baseball one comes to mind. I mean, we need to have I grew up with the Cincinnati Reds in the National League. It was, bunts and steals and hit the opposite field and all that sort of thing, where the American Leagues hit the home runs. I do think we need them both. I mean, we need the
Yeah,
efficiency technologies and so forth, but these electric trucks, and we're going to get into that here in a few minutes, but these electric trucks for me are kind of like hitting a home run. I mean, they are
exactly.
they are zero emission, and they're quiet, and they come with so many benefits. Now, there are definitely like challenges, and we'll get into that, as well. But let's just start back. Tell me about OK Produce and our audience. How the company formed, what it
Yeah.
does, and why you're passionate now about this. So just walk us through the company and yourself.
I will. So OK Produce is a wholesale produce company. My grandfather started the company in 1950. He started a company in the 1930s that was actually a small single truck operation going out to Kalinga, for those who know the city of Kalinga. My father started working here as a kid. I think the legend is he started at age 12 fixing lettuce boxes. Right after college, came on board, took over the company. And then my brother started in 1998. I started in 2000. And family business is unique, and that's for sure. And each one of the generations has tried to make a mark, and we all have done that in different ways. But for me, being the youngest of the whole family, coming in with the older brother, very capable, awesome partner for me. But I came in with a very different angle, and for me, the environmental thing has been something I grew up with as a kid that I've always been very interested in and committed to, and always wanted to make an impact. But doing it yourself and telling your friends to not run the water when they brush their teeth is one thing. Coming to a place like OK Produce, where you've got, at the time, we had 20, 30 trucks at the time, or 30 or 40 trucks at the time in a building, is a very big thing, a very different thing. And so for me, it was always, okay, wow, I'm going to come back to the family business, but how am I going to do it or have my mark my way? And my way at the very early stages, like in 2000, 2001, was to start our sustainability program. And we started that with one of the biggest solar projects that we ever had. That was actually done at the time. And it wasn't big by today's standards, but by the time it was the biggest in the Western 13 states, someone told me. So that's just become what we do. We sell fruits and vegetables. It's a healthy product. It's a Mother Nature product. I mean, we don't have that without the amazing kind of miracle of Mother Nature creating this fruit. If you think about how amazing that is, it's really kind of a strange, cool concept. And so just connected that here we are having this very delicious, nutritious product, and we're delivering it in, unfortunately, the only option we have, which was trucks that polluted. And overall, as an impact, our mentality was, if we've got the benefits of Mother Nature, we got to do everything we possibly can to lower our impact on Mother Nature at the same time.
I got to believe that in the business of fruits and vegetables, that world, whether it's the grocery stores, the producers, or others, I mean, it's one that's been selling health and well-being forever, right? When you compare it to other choices we can make. On the other hand, the trucking industry, I love the trucking industry. We've handled incredible challenges in the past, but being maybe sustainable, or the industry sort of responded to get me my freight as fast as possible to this location as cheap as possible, and that's always been around. Diesel's been a great fuel to do that.
Yeah.
But it in the early days it was black smoke. We kind of fixed that with some NOx and particulate matter programs, and now we're more efficient. But just maybe go back 20 years or more and compare and contrast your world back then of highly green, healthy produce with the trucks. And when you talk transportation versus distributing the goods. Am I kind of right? There were two different worlds there, or am I being too harsh?
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I mean, I literally told that story to you and others that in 2000, I was out there when the sun's going down and I heard, and all these trucks were in the parking lot, all the reefers were running and most of the trucks were running, and there was just a total disregard for it. But the thing about it is, like, the smell was just, to me, it was shocking. I mean, we've all smelled the car, we've all smelled the truck, but that day, I remember where I was standing, was a eye-opening moment that there was like, wow, this is a serious cloud of emissions coming out of this little bunch of trucks. No doubt about that. And there wasn't really much talk about it. Fuel was not expensive. I mean, it wasn't like it was $4 or $5. There was just not this major conversation. How we distributed, how we picked up. We had trucks going empty from here to Coachella. You know where Coachella is from Fresno, here to Salinas, here to all over the place, empty, to just go pick up product and bring it back. And there was just not really a conversation about the thought of that these trucks are burning fuel, and they were burning dirty, for sure. And that was very, very early. So it was kind of like this thing where, I think for a lot of the thought might be, or one is not even a thought about it. It just didn't even like cross our mind that this is a major problem. But I think maybe also the thought of maybe you're selling produce or healthy food. So the thought of how you deliver that, maybe not so big a deal. I mean, the product's way better for you than, I don't know, beer or liquor or tobacco or, chips or whatever it may be, or just junk food. So therefore, how you do it might not be important. But for me, it was like the exact opposite. And it's like, okay, well, that's kind of crazy, because we absolutely need to make that impact. So yeah, back then, very old trucks, gas mileage was not great. Emissions were crazy. Fresno, the Central Valley, was an incredibly bad air basin. It's still incredibly bad, but back then it was really, really bad, like shockingly bad. So I just think there wasn't a major regard. Trucks out in the fields, they had a lot of exemptions, I think, where it's like, look, they're expensive to get new trucks and expensive to get technology. So getting produce to the stores at the best price is just clearly the mentality.
Right. So over the next couple of decades, I mean, it sounds logical that, that as you started saying, okay, let's put, solar panels on the roof for this ginormous refrigerator of a warehouse.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just with you about a month ago when we filmed the Run on Less visit, and just such an interesting place. But so has this been hard or easy? I mean, maybe the fact that you have this insight from both your personal mission as well as with the fruits and vegetables. You're in California, that has a head start with respect to some regulations, and really California has understood the need for cleaner air and so forth because of some huge challenges that you were unique to. But would you call it hard or easy while the rest of the world maybe caught up with some, or the technologies even came?
Yeah, being early for any technology is hard. I mean, the solar we bought, these were panels that were 100 pounds a piece. You can imagine that weight. It's hard to even believe in my mind. They were 100 watts. Today, those are one-fifth or one-sixth the weight, and they're 500 watt, 450 to 500 watts. So when you're buying early technology that's unproven, even up until today, we'll talk about that today with the trucks that we have even today. It definitely is challenging because it's so easy to buy tried and true technology that works. You can buy a light bulb that works perfectly well and takes 5 times the energy. And the first LEDs we bought 15 years ago were literally dim lighting, like you were in a cozy restaurant. And today, clearly, they are very different from that. So it's hard. It's definitely hard. It's expensive. You have some frustrations, but have always been rebates, and there always has been support for those that are early adopters and trying things. So I think we didn't have if we didn't have the personal connection and feel, it would have seemed, and it probably was, actually risky. And I think even now, like what we're doing is risky. I mean, having redundancy and having these things work is risky, but it's a matter of risk reward. And for me personally, being engaged in my job and coming to work and being proud of what we do, and our team being proud of what we do, it's always been worth that risk. But it's by no means been easy, or cheap to do. But I also will say that it's 100% been worth it, because everything has gotten better so well because of early adopters, and then other adopters and more adopters. And then it's gotten better and better.
Right. So the way we view that is, and I think, okay, produce, and let's talk about your trucks and your duty cycles and why this fits. I think that for, the new technology. And so here, let's talk about a electric truck with 200 to 250 mile range that you can recharge in, 4 or 5 hours.
Yep.
That's where we're at today. Now,
Correct.
5 years from now, we may talk about these newer trucks, like you just talked about the lights, that they've
Absolutely.
gotten so much better. We're up to twice the range, half the weight. I don't know. We'll see where it all goes. But for right now, a company like yours, who can implement a 200-mile truck into the operations and make it work for some of your loads while you're learning and getting through these, tough. That was my takeaway from when I visited. But how are you making these trucks work today?
Absolutely.
How many trucks do you have in total? How many
Yep.
electric trucks, and what kind of charging?
So we've got 10 the Freightliner eCascadias right now on site, and 3 orange EVs, with an additional 7 Volvo of their new version of truck coming in September/October. We hope, we think. And yes, they do charge, depending on how we can plug it, the way our charger setup is, but 3 to 5 hours. So for us in California, peak energy, we do plug them in at 9 p.m., almost on the dot, 9:05, 9:10, and they're charged and ready. And those trucks are leaving at, 3, 4 in the morning. And we started off day one looking at these things. All right, maiden voyage, just get out there and go to Fresno, and it's in Fresno. So we started these small runs. We started actually running out to the growing regions, low risk, because we don't get to the growing region out in Fowler or, Orange Cove, and picking up oranges and peaches and things like that. Then it's okay, because we would just send another truck to grab them. So like each route we tested just got further and further. And now we're a few months in the sketch, a little further out, a little more of a stretch, a few more stops. And now we're at a point where, I walk in every day, and Mike, you saw where the chargers, they're literally at our front door. So I get this really awesome, for me personally, but for our whole team, I get this great morning moment where if I show up and there's 9 trucks parked there, well, we got a problem. Something's not going right. But when I show up today, I generally see 1 or 2, which means 8, 7, 8, 9 are on the road that day. And I just have in my mind a visual of where they're going. It's Fresno, 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 Madera, Kalinga, Visalia, Oakhurst, Merced. And we just got ourselves up into Stockton. We did our first run to Stockton. If you know California well, Stockton's north. That's a bit of a stretch. And we got up there. We got halfway home. We stopped into Turlock, picked up a 30-minute charge, got home with 20%. And, if I was there, I would have probably had a champagne bottle and cracked it on the front of the hood. Probably wouldn't have cracked it on the hood.
Yeah.
And it was like, that was like that stretch where we're going to stretch it out there. And the nervous part about it, if it doesn't make it there, well, we don't make delivery to our store. So we're starting to eke our neck out, like a turtle a little bit here, to see if we can stretch. And we're coming up with some very creative ideas and solutions that we would have never done if we just said, it'll never work. Must use diesel.
Right. I remember talking to your brother when I was out there, and one of the things that really struck me is how, in all of trucking, we consider the freight, must get there on time and so forth. When we're talking about perishable items like fruits and vegetables, I mean, your whole business relies on incredible commitment to getting the product there to those grocery stores when you say you're going to be there and so forth. So, you're testing this and making this work in an environment where you literally can't fail on deliveries, right?
Cannot fail. And so it's funny, if anyone shops, you'll know this now. You might not think it before, but you'll know it now. When you go shop and you walk into produce, it's this weird thing through the years we've created as a world, where if you walk into produce and you see no bananas or even holes, or where it looks like it's maybe even shopped, or they're on add-on strawberries and they're low, it's this weird thing where people go, wow, man, something's really messed up in the store. They must really be in trouble, or they're not fresh, or whatever it may be. But if you go a little further and you check out the canned food section or the beer section or somewhere else, and there's holes throughout there, there's just not the same reaction. But there's this mentality of fronting all the shelves on everything and filling all the shelves and pile it high and let it fly and all these funny things in produce that's out there. So you got to see it full, because that's just what they want to see, fresh and full. I mean, that's just the mentality about a produce department. But stores can't hold our product like they can a pallet of beer or a pallet of canned food or even frozen meat or anything like that. So they're waiting on that truck at the back door, and produce people are notorious early risers. I mean, my dad was a 3 a.m. every day, go to work my entire lifetime kind of guy. And the business is a morning early bird type of thing. And so all these produce team members are at the back door waiting for that load early because they don't have product. They don't have back stock. So
Yeah,
it does make it ultra important that we're on time and
yeah, one more
consistent.
thing I wanted to bring up with you around the trucks and the routes is something that Bob on your team was telling me, and that is that when you started adding stops to some of these routes, you were surprised. Bob was surprised how well the electric truck handled it. And as we talked about it, a diesel truck hates. Diesels are like racehorses. They like to get on the freeway and run at 60 mile an hour all damn day.
Yeah.
The what diesels don't like is the start and stop and the and when Bob was telling me that kind of surprised at how well these trucks did on battery state of charge when they added those stops. And of course that's regenerative braking. That's some of what these trucks offer. So I'm sure you were talking to him about that. I mean, that's where these trucks do better than diesel, and that may help us as we try to get more routes.
Absolutely. They do great. I mean, it's funny. I was told by the Toyota guy I bought the first Prius sold in Fresno many, many years ago. And I got a kick out of it early on because I just read the manual and said, how does this thing work? And it's like, no, you don't speed to stop signs. I mean, you can look ahead and make a game of it and try never to touch the brake and just and let your car and you can get braking that way too. But being smart about how you're driving kind of cracks me up because everybody, no matter what car you should be thinking about looking ahead and accelerating consistently. But when you're in an electric, yeah, I mean, when you're looking ahead and you're going to a stop sign, you're actually gaining power. If you're driving it smart, we have one driver he's a trainer and he's super cool. And he decides I'm not going to drive with air conditioning because I want to really see what I can do to extend that range. And he legitimately did. And the drivers absolutely love it. I mean, it's such a better experience than hitting the gas and you hear this, all day long and the roar of the pistons firing. These guys are driving these trucks like, purring like a kitten, and they definitely are learning every day ideal routes for those things. So yeah, we're finding some really cool ways that the range is. I don't say you can you can extend it, but you definitely can extend it or preserve it if you're very smart about how you go about what you're doing.
Yeah, and there's too many places I go where they say electric trucks. People drive their electric cars crazy. They're like little rockets on wheels.
Yeah.
They're wearing out tires. Well, that's not trucking.
No.
We just won't do that, And there's some truckers that will, but we won't do that. We're too into safety and efficiency and time and so forth. So I just think the benefits of these trucks are going to match overall how trucking wants to operate, and it's going to get better. Tell us about so you've got somewhere around 110 trucks, I think, in your network, and then you got 10 now, 7 more coming. I mean, how fast do you think you'll be able to do this? I mean, what's next for the electric trucks and charging for OK?
We have in our team we put together, we have varying degrees of excitement and energy, and that's what makes a great decision happen, right? We have a management team. It's Bob, director of transportation, my CFO, who's not your normal CFO. She definitely is helping financial, but she's also driving a Tesla. So she's got a mindset to understand what I've been trying to do. And our general manager and Abraham and you met all of them. But that team was varying degrees of input to make this happen. And so it was interesting as we chiseled the idea, like this idea that seemed like a piece of coal maybe at the start and very scary, and we chiseled it to make it shine. And suddenly we all became converts, but not crazy. We all became like, okay, let's find a way to make this possible and go through all those interesting scenarios. So for us, it's gone from we can only do 5. Well, we can do 10. In my mind, I want to do them all, right? But I'm also not crazy. I'm running a business that's important. We're not going to do something that's going to put us in trouble with our customers. But that counterbalanced with maybe more of a conservative approach from others. And now we're looking at this thing, though, but that approach is like legitimately the solutions we're coming up with says, okay, 17 is not enough. If we can do this, like have a secondary charge in 2 specific spots, we have 3, Bakersfield, Sacramento are absolutely ideal. And now suddenly we're doubling up our routes because in those areas, no, we can't go one way, but we can get there and we can possibly transfer trucks to them, which we're currently doing, have a guy locally delivering in those areas. Even that guy can deliver locally if we can take him a truckload. And we're doing that currently. We're doing these transfers in different parts of the state further out, but we can do that in these areas. So now everyone's like, wait a minute, 17 is not enough. 17 is easy. How about 25? How about 30? How about 40? And we're not doing that because I'm just pulling us into this wacky space. We're really saying, how do we do this? And how will it be? How is it better? And there's a lot of ways, obviously, with that it is better, not just for the environment, but for everything else. So we're gonna go pretty quickly. We're kind of hoping technology goes quickly too, but we know that's going to take time. But our ambition's growing and growing by the day as we gain more confidence. I mean, getting to Stockton, well, that's 3 truckloads a day, 7 days a week. And that's 3 dedicated electric trucks that we go to Stockton on this particular stop that we didn't know a week ago we could do. And now we know that's 3 more trucks. And so that's kind of how we see this, as further out, doing business differently, looking ahead and doing something that hasn't been done before. Yes, maybe getting an hour opportunity charge. The driver takes a break, does his paperwork. Maybe he's loading at a backhaul and he can be dropping his trailer, charging. So it's really gotten to the approach where everyone says, how do we do more, not how do we stay in this bubble of 10? And that's what has been fun is everybody on our team has been creatively finding ways that we can do more because they believe in it and they believe in the positive effects in all ways.
We're going to have to wrap it up there. We always run out of time so fast, but Brady and his team will be part of Run on Less Electric Depot as we start to go through 2023 and onward, and look there for more information if you're interested in what you heard here. And I'm curious what it takes to fix a lettuce box, Brady, but we'll talk about that another time.
I'll tell you, I have one. I'll show you next time I see you. I'll have one. I'll have one of the originals I had from those days. I have one in my office. I'll show you when you come here next.
Oh, fantastic. Thanks for being on, Brady. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Mike.
Freight Efficiency with NACFE's Mike Roth and Friends.